Welcome back. You've probably never heard of the Green Frog Luncheonette, have you?
No, I have not.
No. Well, about 30 years ago, the man who owned that restaurant changed the name of it to Red Lobster.
That I've heard.
You've heard of that one, and the rest, as they say, is history. Red Lobster is now the #1 seafood chain in the country, and it's part of the Darden Restaurant Corporation, which also runs the Olive Garden chain of restaurants. There's one right up the street here in Times Square.
With very good breadsticks. In today's Destination CEO, we'll meet the man at the top of it all. Clarence Otis began his career as a waiter and now runs more than 1,400 restaurants with 150,000 employees.
I grew up in Los Angeles, California, in the Watts community in Los Angeles. And both my parents, mother and father, and they were both recent arrivals to LA when we were young. They both grew up in Mississippi and went out there for the opportunity and did well. My father worked for the city of Los Angeles in the janitorial department and ultimately became the chief of janitorial services for LA International Airport. My mother was a terrific influence. She was a real community leader and people looked to her for guidance, and that was a community that was very politically active back in those days, and she was a moving force and had high expectations for myself and for my sisters and my brother. My first job was a server at a restaurant out at the airport, a full-service restaurant. And so those were some unique challenges, being at a full-service restaurant in an airport where people are really under some pretty serious time pressures. And I wanted to really see the East, had not seen much of the country, and so I went to Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts, up in the Berkshires. I came back to California, Northern California, to Stanford for law school right after graduating from Williams, and then practiced law. I loved the East Coast from the undergraduate experience. I loved New York City in particular, and so came back and started working in corporate law in New York. And I was a mergers and acquisitions lawyer with some law firms here, and that was exciting. It was exciting to be part of things that were happening, that were front page news, but it was also exhausting physically. And I found that I liked the legal side, the financial side of it better than the legal side, and so chose to try to make the switch from law to finance, and did that, and went to work on Wall Street at one of the investment banks, Kidder Peabody. I was an investment banker for 12 years. I moved to Darden in 1995 as treasurer, and after that assumed some additional responsibilities, first for investor relations and then for some other areas of finance, and eventually became the chief financial officer, and was chief financial officer for about 3 or 4, I guess 4 years. I took over as chief executive officer along with a new president and chief operating officer for Darden as well, Drew Madsen. I think Red Lobster and Olive Garden both continue to have a tremendous amount of growth in front of them. And so a lot of what we work on is growing guest counts through existing restaurants for both of them. And that really means just staying relevant. They've been around for a very long time. And the reason they've been around for a long time is that they continue to evolve as guest expectations continue to change. And so staying current is important. We can talk about a lot of lofty concepts, brand management and brand promises and business models and all of that, but it's very important that a couple of things happen where the rubber meets the road, and that's the people that interact with our guests. They have to understand what we're trying to accomplish, and they have to be inspired and motivated to do that every day.
Otis's strategy does seem to be working. In the past year, Darden stock has served up returns of more than 40%.
Maybe scaling back on those all-you-can-eat promotions was a good idea for the bottom line. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thanks very much for being with us.